So today, lads, Annie Gospel released an article about the Chicago Sky, and my favorite part about this entire scenario is that the amount of abuse that Annie Gospel got from Angel Reese fans. I'm not going to call them Chicago Sky fans, but Angel Reese fans. The amount of insults she got, the amount of slurs that got thrown at her, because she was a few hours late to an article, and I'm guessing that's what all the quote tweets are about. I have seen a few of them. I've seen a few of the quote tweets. Writing Q24's news site about where people's opinions of what good journalism looks like. Where the people are harassing you. And at the end of the day, look, it's one of those things where it's like, if you are not like psychotically pro everything or anti every single thing the Sky does, and be just basically, if you're not a professional shitting on the Sky, if that's not your job, then you're at fault. But that being said, this is not great. This is not great at all. Like, this lawsuit at all. So let's just get just moved a little bit over. Sorry. But at the same time, like this is a bad look. If you guys don't know, basically there is a minority owner that's suing the majority owner of the Sky. By the looks of things, what the Sky owner did was undervalue the team so that he could buy a bigger stake of it and get a controlling stake without anybody realizing. So obviously here in the suit filed January 28th, it says that he was self-dealing and reduced the value of minorities investor stakes in the club, which accusing Alter of financial mismanagement. And the odds of that happening, I don't know, probably high, I would guess. I would guess if it's gotten all this way, I would assume the odds of this being like a relevant thing would be very, very high. But at the end of the day, look, we are under no illusion that the Sky is a poverty franchise. But yeah, so let's go here. Someone said, it's very clear it's not an investment expected return. One of the team's original investors said the league was failing. It was going to be more of a civic duty, which is one of the hilarious things about it is that like a lot of the original WNBA investors were in there knowing it wasn't going to make money. And it says because the size of investor group opinions vary in the expectation for return. There's no point talking about the original investors. So it said we are aware of a lawsuit filed by an early Chicago Sky investor. Alter's lawyer said in a statement, the lawsuit is completely meritless. We look forward to defending our case. So obviously they're saying that there's nothing in this. It says here, neither Alter nor the Sky will be commenting further. Multiple Sky investors told Front Office Sports because the overall financial state of WNBA and reported team losses across the country. It was difficult to raise capital from outside parties. All the successful pursuit of new capital, which resulted in 10% stake being sold, $85 million overall valuation in 2023. So $8.5 million for 10%. Began roughly a year prior. During this time, multiple investors saw FOS. They were provided detailed information regarding how they would raise would work and the impact on their stakes. Existing investors were given the opportunity to increase their investment. Teams who invested, including Cubs co-owner. So obviously they got a bunch of new investors in, to be expected. It was around this time, the heels of the first championship, Steve Rogers alleged the financial fortunes of WNBA teams changed. Ticket sales went up in the wake of a title, easing pandemic restrictions. However, there's still a level of uncertainty over the sustainability of rising valuations of the league's teams. 2022, they sold a stake. They've undervalued it, obviously. This is the biggest thing. According to the lawsuit, it was during this time that he orchestrated a series of transactions that became a significant portion of Sky valuation gains for himself. Because of redaction in the suit, specifics of how he exactly did it are unclear. So basically, this is what it seems like. In 2022, he saw the way things were going, and he decided that he wanted a bigger piece of the pie. Like, he was going to go make sure he got himself a bigger piece of the pie. And that is that's kind of, it's kind of smart doing it, I have to say. Like, it's if you were able to get more, but obviously doing it completely illegally and basically undervaluing other people's stakes so that you can buy out all their stakes for cheaper isn't the right way to go about doing things. So, yeah, that's what he's obviously being alleged. It says here, multiple original investors said they believe Rogers' allegations are related to conversion of debt into equity effectively explained alters ownership control. There are investors who believe the details of this conversation were properly communicated to shareholders. However, other investors believed there was no knowledge. So basically, some of the investors were like, yeah, we knew this was going to happen. Other investors said, you know what, we had no idea. Lawsuit says on September 22, he made a claim so outlandish about the minority stakes that Rogers immediately disputed it. One investor said disputes came down to difference in opinion on calculation methods, and Sue says Alter eventually reversed course. In any business, there's times where debts convert to equity. Whatever you convert debt into equity, you have valued a business. WNBA didn't respond, and the Sky are just poverty, basically. The Sky are poverty. However, there's a bunch of like kind of weird things we've seen about the Sky over the last few days. Like, I'll talk a little more about it when it came down to Taurasi Weatherspoon. For me, like, they're talking again about just basically it's just a fucking mess. This organization is a mess, and there's no, like, even if it turns out in the grand scheme of things that everything the Sky owner is saying is true, like, it doesn't mean that the Sky is a competently ran franchise. It's not. The Sky being a completely incompetent franchise is one of the major reasons why this whole thing is happening. Like, if this whole thing, like, if the Sky was just ran like a proper freaking professional sports team, like, we would be talking about this in a completely different way. Like, we wouldn't be talking about this organization. Maybe we believe the owner. But at the end of the day, this is a team that is we're going through mid-lockout. We're going through a entire situation where they're building a new practice facility, and nobody has any idea what's going on with that, by the way. No one has any idea what's going on with that practice facility. And so you've got all of that. So you have to go and say, like, look, how much in the shitter is the Chicago Sky? And not only that, like, public sentiment is at an all-time low. At an all-time low, where it's like, you're now in a situation where your star player is the main reason why financially you're okay, but also your star player is a major reason for the negative public sentiment towards you, because while they're not directly shit-talking your team, they did bring out a fan to a courtside seat in a game during the season. The fan was wearing a free, like, she got her team to go and pull a random fan wearing a free Angel t-shirt out of the stand and bring them courtside. Like, when she was fixing her, like, again, bullshit suspension. She's there, like, a lot of things she's talking about, like, a lot of, again, the things she's done, like, in the public sentiment, Angel Reese has basically given the finger to the Sky organization. And that's not, and absolutely, you could argue, justified. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, as much as the Fever had been a bad organization, they weren't completely incompetent. Like, up pre-Caitlin Clark, the Fever were an organization that was just not a good organization. But they were not like this absolute, completely incompetent shit show that is the Chicago Sky. Like, that's the only way I can describe it, it is a complete shit show. The entire organization, and it seems like from top to bottom. Like, there's now word that, like, Jeff Pagliocca made up that Taurasi Weatherspoon was fired because agents wouldn't talk to them. Like, I don't know everything with the Sky is a he said, she said, and whichever side you believe, there's probably wrongs everywhere. It's a completely incompetent organization. There's a reason why any good player wants to get out of there.